Hello friends, welcome to Party Monday. G'day Match Fixer. We're going to have some guests tonight, the delightful Andrew Buckley and the even more delightful Jared Clifford to talk all things ArcOpen. That won't be happening for a little while, so you'll just have to put up with me painting some toy soldiers in the meantime. Now, I've made a very big sacrifice for tonight. Very big sacrifice. I don't normally do this, but I've prepared my headphones so that you can all have wonderful audio quality when I speak to other people. And I have an uncomfortable painting experience. Just so you know, it's for you. I wouldn't do it for many other people. But until those reprobates join us, we'll spend some time talking about Fallout, because I finished Fallout. It was pretty good. I liked it. I liked it a fair bit, actually. I wonder if I should go and download one of the games and see if I enjoy the game. I don't think I will enjoy it, but maybe I should try. I don't know. So we're going to paint these beautiful Kingdom Death models so that I can commence my next Kingdom Death playthrough thing, which is the actual campaign that comes with the Black Knight. So the Black Knight box, not only can it be added to your regular Kingdom Death campaigns, but it also has its own 5-year campaign, which is a much more abbreviated Kingdom Death experience than I would say I'm used to. But could be really good. Could be a great way to experience Kingdom Death with friends on a more accessible timetable. You know, my friend Whaley comes up and visits every now and then for a weekend. You know, we could set up and play a full Kingdom Death campaign in that weekend, which would be super cool. So that's what we'll be looking at doing. But yes, I will still be playing it by myself. I haven't really talked much about. G'day Hecaton. It only has the Black Knight showdown, but it does add some cards, which add some new rules to some of the existing monsters, such as the White Lion. So yeah, I don't know. I haven't read in too much detail, so it will be an experience for both of us, or me. I don't know that I've good work there. I'm having a shocker tonight. I don't know that I've talked much about solo gaming really on here. I mean, obviously it's quite apparent that I do it quite a lot, but a lot of people probably find that a bit odd. I know when I first told my girlfriend, the beautiful Emma, that I play games by myself, I think she thought there was something wrong with me. She does still think there's something wrong with me, I believe, especially after this weekend. There is something wrong with me, but what colours did I use this guy? Regal blue, I think I didn't I? Regal blue, yes. Signal blue. Yeah, it kind of is like playing a video game, yes. By yourself. I guess the difference, if there is any minimal difference, is is the increased cognitive load. You are having to play through the mathematics behind the game system, if there is any for that particular game. And yeah, play the bad guys for you. This airbrush needs a clean very, very badly. Is tonight the night? I don't think so. Need to dry this. Yeah, so I actually just bought a new game, a new solo game, and it is literally a solo game. It is not designed for multiple players. It is a one-player only game. So when you load up this game to play, load's the wrong term, but when you prepare to play this game, it is ever, only ever, just you. You don't play with anyone else ever. It's called Hoplomachus Victorum. You play as a gladiator in ancient Rome, and you kind of have your own house of gladiators that you're kicking about with. Oh, that's a bit of a shame. Ran out. And you travel around the world and fight in different duels, gladiatorial combats, leveling up your skills and eventually facing off against some primuses. Yeah, sounds pretty cool. Man, what am I doing? Oh, it's this fucking thing, Dano.
Check to...
Oh, Jared. Hello, mate.
How's it going?
Oh, you're both on there.
Howdy.
Hang on a second. Let me put my headphones on so that I can have a genuine conversation with both of you and people can actually hear it.
Yeah, I figured out that, because I watched the stream back, when I move slightly away from my mic to the right, you lose me. So I've got it repositioned to just uplift the professional nature of our streaming experience for all of our friends.
I think I look like a drop pie, but oh well.
Bucket of smashed crabs.
Alright, just everyone that's playing on stream, just tell me the audio from these two champions. Is it accurate? Talk, Jared.
Check to... Did you get the check? 2 for 22.
2 for 22. It's a marvellous day today here at the MCG. Can see the wonderful...
Work as a team and do it my way.
It's just
I think I was
marvellous.
doing 12th man.
12th man, yeah.
Absolutely marvellous cricket.
That is
pitch.
absolutely only for the Australians. No one.
Yeah.
No, actually, no, you know what? That's a lie. The Brits will probably know the 12th man as well, actually.
What a magnificent spectacle the MCG is on a day like today. Absolutely marvellous.
Marvellous.
Alright, let's talk all things ArcOpen. We've got Jared Clifford, the esteemed judge at ArcOpen. We've got Andrew Buckley, winner of Best in Show. That's my airbrush going off. Winner of Best in Show. What a tremendous achievement. Who do we start with? I think we'll start with you, Jared. No, how was the event for you both? How did you enjoy it? Was it a good time? Any regrets?
I'll let the man of the moment go first.
Oh, the man, the myth, the legend, Andy Bugs Art.
Well, you know, we'll time it so that the conversation is when most our viewers come. Like 10 people here at the moment, but like as a round, it was it's awesome, man. I mean, where I'll start, I guess, is that events are our catalysts to bring people together, and as such. That's always my favourite part. The time spent with people, You know, whether it's people I've known for a while now, or new people, or people I've known a little bit. It's always really nice to listen to all the like whether with new people, for example, listen to what's brought them to the event, like what they're looking to get out of it, and when it comes to spending time with the likes of you, Mr. Dennison.
Hello, friend.
It's always just a celebration of a good time. So, yeah, that's what I really enjoy a lot about the events.
I do find it difficult to sort of express emotions in general, but feelings around the why we go to events, and particularly for myself as someone who frequently expresses that it's far more important to enjoy painting and have a good time, you know. And yet every event that rocks up, I'll be there. I'll be the first guy signed up. I'll be fucking rocking up at 8 o'clock on the day ready to go. And I'll spend the whole day there.
That is your MO.
Yeah. So I find it difficult to express why. I do that when events are, you know, not my primary reason for painting. And I think it is because of the people. I think it is the get together and the conversations and the shit talking and the sledging, and, you know, just every part of that experience is hard to capture in any other way, right?
Yeah. I actually, I think you also take. I mean, and not even. I'd love to say quietly, right, Jared, but you can't really associate the word quietly with Trent Dennison. So,
Far from it.
I think you both take a lot of pride and a lot of enjoyment in seeing people that you have helped along the way succeed, and that is not just aimed toward the top. That's aimed across the whole field, particularly the newer painters who I think when you see them find that confidence, I think you take a bit of enjoyment out of that, as we all do. But something I've noticed.
Yes, I do. I do enjoy seeing people that are putting in effort, striving to achieve something. I like that a lot. But yeah. So what about your experience, Jared? You were first time judge, had a pretty relaxed Saturday, and then I think you rocked up on Sunday like, yeah, this will be sweet, this will be easy peasy. Next minute, 15 hours later, still going.
Yeah, I kind of underestimated that. It was, yeah, I think we had 3 hours allotted for judging. And I dare say the first category we looked at, single miniature, took us probably close to 2 hours because there were just so many entries. So yeah, well, the Saturday, yeah, it was fantastic. Usually I get nervous with shows, just pre-jitter nerves. I didn't have that because I wasn't competing. I was really looked forward to looking at everyone's pieces for what they were, and then applying it from that judging experience. So, yeah, it gave me an appreciation of what the judges go through and how they go about it in their process, because when you have, well, particularly with ArcOpen, it was a little bit easier from the perspective that it was split into categories, whereas with Crimson and Guilds it's quite open. So I think it takes the pressure off a bit from that perspective.
Because of the categories?
Yeah, like you can go through it piece by piece for each category, rather than just one continuous process.
Okay, yeah, that's a good observation from the other side of the fence, from the judging fence. How difficult was it, and how many arguments did you have across the categories? Arguments is not the wrong word, right? Positive discourse and discussion.
Well, I was going to say the gauntlet slap didn't come out, so that was good. But, no, like Victoria and Peter have a wealth of experience and knowledge of the painting scene over the last, 20, 30 years. They had all that expertise that they brought along with them. We all had different unique viewpoints, but we were able to talk it through if there were any discrepancies, talk it out, and then come to an agreement at the end. So it was, I wouldn't say there were any major discrepancies.
You weren't trying hard enough, Jared.
Well, we'll see how Malcolm goes and Guild's in.
Yeah, so we'll step through the weekend as it were. So I think we all rocked up on the Saturday at varying times. Certain people on this chat were staying up till 5 a.m. the previous night, finishing their entries. I won't mention who that was, but
Shall we preface that with at 3 a.m. there was not a single entry prepared.
Yeah,
we were going in with nothing.
Yeah. And just so you know, I was travelling and Jared was a judge. So I'll leave you to decide who or who did not prepare their entries at 5 o'clock the morning of the event. That particular person rocked up relatively late on day one. Jared and I, of course, early birds, as always, rocked up relatively early.
Relatively late in Trent Denizen time is 11 o'clock in the morning for everyone at home.
Mate, half your day's gone by then. Half your day's gone.
The more you get to know Trent, and plenty of you know him pretty well on the stream, the more you know that Trent will both embellish and dismiss certain facts and details. Like the reason why maybe a painter was up till 5 o'clock painting the night before is that he prioritised time spent with friends until they were ready to go to sleep before he would endeavour on trying to attempt to get things done before said event.
Well,
but you never let the truth get in the way of a good yarn. An interesting Australian fellow once said. So we will go with Trent's story.
Thank you. I agree. That is the correct thing to do. Given it's my stream and I can boot you at any moment. No, I would never do such a thing. So yeah, the first day was pretty relaxed. I think, as always,
the venue? Big venue.
Huge venue. So it was at the
it's absolutely massive
Sandown race course, and the whole day, the whole weekend, there was friggin' race cars traveling around the track. It was awesome.
Now, some might think that might be a distraction at both a painting / wargaming event, but to Sandown's credit, their viewing stands, their stanchions, they're pretty soundproofed actually. I barely heard those cars going past when we were up there. Did you guys?
No, I heard them all weekend.
Did you?
Yeah, I got easily distracted as well.
Well, I guess we're just finding out you both got a lack of focus.
That's true.
Explains a lot, yeah.
Look, so that first day was just, as always, just to get together and everyone catching up and looking at cool models and stuff. And I made an observation to Jared that I didn't know if the quality of the entries was as on par with previous years. But as the day went on, I think more and more entries got submitted, and that continued to improve. What was your overall perspective on the quality, Jared? I mean, you've been at Guild, you've been at Crimson. Where did you rate the quality of the entries? Controversial question, I know.
Yeah, well, put it this way: the fact that it took us almost 6 hours to do all of the judging for 200 and whatever it was number of entries. The quality had jumped up from the previous year at Arc, definitely. And in terms of comparing it, which, yeah, like you said, it's always hard to do. I'd say be pretty similar. Probably a little bit to go with Crimson and Guilds, but it's getting pretty close.
Well, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because when you talk about the quality of entrance, I mean, I guess where you're looking is across the whole field, right?
And the fact that Arc comes from a 40k background and they're still very much pushing and pressuring the 40k and army painters to come along and bring their models, right? We are of course going to have, some entries that probably exist more in an army painting space than a display painting space, which is what we want to encourage. So
yeah, absolutely. I would say that in that particular area, it seemed to me that the skill set. I'm a bit quiet still. Oh, the mic is right in front of my face. So.
Hang on, I can do some. Try now, Bucks. Just talk now, buddy.
How's that? 1-1. How are you? You got me? Yes, no.
I turned the overall volume up on you two, so that should be fine. It's the best we can do anyway.
Yeah, better. Is that better?
That's good.
That's good. I think the quality in that space actually got better in my opinion.
Totally agree.
And then I also think you still have at the sharper point some pretty big hitters that were at the event. So maybe it's just that Crimson just has more, and because of that you get more across the whole scope.
It's more, but it is also that Crimson has established itself as a display painting event. And we don't really see a lot of army painters rocking up to our event, whereas it's kind of the reverse for Arc, and that's good, because what we're doing then is we're targeting both markets, and we're appealing to both of them, and hopefully at some point we will be able to bring those two cross sections together, have a gigantic mega event. So were they?
Yeah,
that's good to know.
That's cool.
New scale of 75. No, Big Child Creatives paint Kickstarter coming out soon. I've been talking to one of the dudes from Big Child's about. Should be good. He keeps messaging me. So yeah.
What's that? What are we doing with Big Child?
What?
You just started talking about Big Child Creative.
Yeah, they just messaged me. They're just like,
oh, they just messaged you right there.
Yeah,
okay.
got a Kickstarter Big Dinner. When are you coming on? Cool. Saturday night was the highlight of the weekend for me.
Yeah.
We all sat around Andrew Buckley's back deck and just absolutely Gibbertron for 5 hours. Agreed?
Yeah, I mean, that patio is a place to solve problems, And,
it's a place to gibber.
If you don't come to that patio with some problems that need solving, then I don't know what to tell you. Occasionally, we have to hose it down with some sage, get some of that bad juju out of there, burn off some of those evil spirits, warden them away. But for the most part, it's a place that people can openly express their feelings and thoughts and talk about all the things they want to talk about.
What one of the most interesting topics we had, obviously we had a big debrief on Crimson, which we'll probably touch on a little bit later on, and then talk about Guilds In as well. But one of the big things we talked about was how did we get onto the topic, mate? It was like, who are the best 20 painters in the world and why, and what's the style? Come on, you do it better than I do.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think what we were talking about was that at a certain level, I think you reach your work becomes like a little bit immortal in a way. Like really, the best of the best's work, whether it's 5 years ago, 10 years ago, or 10 days ago, tends to last in our minds for much longer, and seems to be able to hold itself and hold its candle, relatively well.
The Kirrills of the world.
And this was off the back of our friends being able to experience. Some of our friends, unfortunately, Deno wasn't able to experience this as he had some previous engagements, but there will always be next time. We're able to check out some of the most wonderful painted miniatures in the world, thanks to one of our wonderful friends.
At a private collection.
And private collection, yes. So, I think we were reflecting on like the timeless nature of excellent painting, and so you know, the term "can you rest on your laurels" sort of
Oof.
gets thrown around, and this term is always obviously a pretty negative one. Um, but I think there are certain artists and certain works that they absolutely can and have every right to, because they've really achieved something masterful, and that deserves its credit.
All right, and who are those painters and why are they Kirill?
Well, yeah, Kirill is absolutely there, of course. And there's quite a few. I don't think we'll go through and list all the different painters. I think, I mean, for each of us, it's slightly different, and our audience probably has their own opinion on that too. But maybe Jared, you know, this was your first time experiencing this, so maybe you take over from me, mate, because I've had the pleasure to do this quite a few times now, and sort of take us through what you thought of it all.
Yeah, it was quite a sobering experience, to be honest. Seeing all the high-end miniature painters' work in the hand, um, you could see, well, Kirill as an example, every brushstroke had a purpose, placement had a purpose. Um, like it was very accurate. So it's like he's been painting for years or something. But even looking at Mark Maskelyne's work, he was doing quite a lot of historical miniatures in Alan's collection, and I've got two myself of his work, and to use as references for seeing how he's done stuff, and but just seeing these historical ones was just amazing compared to the fantasy stuff he normally does. Um, so I forget the other painter, Korean painter. Is it?
Sang
Is
Yong
it?
Un.
Sang Young Un and Lee Sung
Yes.
Lee
Yeah.
Luke.
Yeah, very talented painters, and just seeing there was one which was a German soldier from World War Two. Just the skin work, the fabric, the metal work, um, weathering. It was just unbelievable. Like it's just it basically made me realise where we are in the scheme of things of our own journey. And there's a long way to go. It's that the last 10% really that just need to keep refining. So
The last mountain, and that's the endless one.
yeah,
Right? One that just
yeah.
keeps going and going.
A wise man who knows he's wise is a fool.
Yes, indeed. There's some incredible artists in this private collection. Let's just rattle off some names. The easy ones are always the Kirills and Marks, but we've got Ortiz, Danilo Cartacci, Mike Blank. I'm trying to think of who else we've got.
Arnau.
Arnau, Kaha, Roman Gruber. Just an incredible list. Olga, like an incredible list of painters, and there's so many more that like you know, if I haven't got their names, one day I'll write a list of every name that's there, because every single miniature, bust, historical, fantasy, or in between is just a delight to get to know and look at, and I agree, it certainly changes the way you see things. So.
Yeah. Also seeing Alan's work in the hand as well, I think
Absolutely.
pretty good.
Can I just say that we don't. I mean, we do say this, but I think we undervalue just how much an impact seeing a model in the flesh can have on you versus seeing a photo. You know, we see a lot of photos, day-to-day life, shit tons of photos, social media, bane of our existence, blah, blah, blah. But seeing a physical piece in the hand, picking it up, looking at it, you feel the effort, you feel the time, you feel the skill. You know, it just changes your whole perspective on.
Can I add one word to those ones?
Yeah, for sure.
You feel the realness.
Yeah.
It's finally real, right? It's in your hand, and you can. It's no longer an image. It is we'll link. Like Alan's keeps a lot of his work sort of private, so there'll be some photos of Alan's stuff that comes through from Arc. Alan's like pretty well known around the world, and has attended quite a few international events, and has a really big hand in the Malaysian scene, particularly with Malcolm. Is Alan head judging Malcolm again this year?
G'day,
Yeah.
Malta.
Um, Chromanos, hey, how are you?
Alan?
We'll get some of his work. Alan also has had a bit of a break from painting over the last few years. He's quite a busy man and does travel an awful lot, and actually was really inspired by ArcOpen and wanting to get some stuff done, particularly because he resides at the moment in this part of the world, and so um, he got two entries together in time for the event and brought an older one that he brought back to life a little bit, or finished actually. I don't think he ever finished it. Um, he did a couple of Mass Effect models and had a great result actually. He won a gold medal in large, I believe. Was it in large, Jared? You were the judge.
Yep. Yeah, golden. Yeah, gold in large, silver for the other Mass Effect model in large, and then a bronze in large. And the thing that when looking at his work, he's just really good at the base work, background diorama
Yeah.
aspect, and the paint work on it, particularly the female Mass Effect one with the greens and the reds was just
The quality of his finish across every aspect of his piece was very noticeable. You know, his base had a huge
yeah,
level of effort put into it, comparable with the model, and you
yeah,
could really feel that when you looked at it.
yeah.
I wonder if anyone got some photos. Maybe Benny got a photo. We'll see if we can track one down. But it was yeah. Seeing Alan's work was really a privilege. G'day, Scars. Uh,
Yeah, it really was. It was actually great. I mean, we all saw Alan's work for the first time last year when he brought some stuff to Arc, and it was super inspiring. You know, like Alan is a Best in Show winner. You know, he's got a Best in Show award from 2016 in the historical standard, I think. So
yeah, he's a superstar.
yeah. Um,
Yeah.
anyway, he's a wonderful man, and his hospitality is always amazing. And he's been a wonderful add to the growing Australian painting scene.
Yeah, we're super lucky to have him.
Experience, and yeah, we are super lucky to have him. He's a lovely man.
Scars, are you referring to Andrew Buckley's Best in Show winner with that? Very super inspirational stuff. I agree. It was inspirational.
That yeah.
We'll come back to that. We'll
Garrus-
come back to that,
Garrus-
Andy.
The Garrus Valkyrian Garrus is the guy. Okay, that must be the Mass Effect character. I don't know Mass Effect very well.
So
Yes,
to go back to Saturday night, fantastic night of us chewing the fat, talking all things toy soldiers. So much so that we had two of the girls fall asleep on the patio. Mossy fell asleep on my shoulder. Rhiannon fell asleep. Absolutely must have been a riveting conversation.
Look, you're selling us short there because there was 3 or 4 other girls there that were just chopping it up. So
No, they were all inside, mate, chopping up the wines. None of them were listening to us.
that might be true, but you know.
So we rock up on the Sunday after a wonderful night, and we get to watch Jared fluff about as a judge.
Yeah, tell us about your experience, Jared. A bit more in depth about the judging process. Any things that might have differed from what you expected,
And I'd also like you to tell us about the judging of Neon Knights and Liam's diorama, because that looked like a contentious conversation.
All right. Well, may as well rip the band-aid off. Let's start with that. So, yeah, there was a new category open in diorama, and there was quite a mix of entries. Like, yeah, your massive diorama with 12 figures, all the way down to a little diorama with 2.
I think if we asked everyone in chat to give us their interpretation of diorama, we're probably getting 10 different answers, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was quite varied. Um, so when it came to that category, it was quite hard to judge because every piece was quite different. So we had to judge each piece individually for what it is. And when we got to yours, Dino's, and Liam's, we were looking at each piece, but we had to take a break from it because there were a couple of elements we weren't sure on, just from a composition perspective. But like, one thing I've said to the other judges, like we need to look at each piece as a whole. Diorama is all about storytelling, bringing a group of models and how effective it is at telling a story. So um, based off that, we were able to look at the pieces as a whole and look at it.
We just lost Jared's mic. Did we?
You lost me?
No, you're back
not
now.
At all. I think you just started reading something.
Got you back.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so from that perspective, we had to take that step back and look at the pieces individually in diorama because it was just too hard to sort of rank them up and compare them against each other. So it's I wouldn't say it was controversial. It was just we needed a fresh pair of eyes, go back out and come back in. So it was good that we did that because we just kept going round in circles basically.
I commented to you at the start of the event that it was going to be a challenge, putting those two things beside each other, and they're pretty much at opposite ends of the spectrum in dioramas. That's just Liam's and my piece, not to mention the other ones. You know,
Definitely
Liam's is
both dioramas though.
absolutely agreed.
Oh yeah, definitely, yeah.
Liam's is very much a technical masterclass with an incredible background and a very singular story of singular focus. You know, made a lot of sense. Mine was just an absolute clusterfuck of everything shoved on a fucking base. So there's a story though. There's a story there, and there's stuff to it. But yeah, I did not envy you in trying to come up with that resolution. So well done.
I think to quantify yours a little better than that, because I think you sell yourself a little bit short there. I think what you've been trying to do now for quite a few years, probably 3 years, maybe even 4, is you've been looking at what makes great diorama in the scale modeling space, and then you've been thinking about how you can interpret that or reinterpret that into fantasy and science fiction realms with traditional display painting mentality. And I think every time you do one, you edge closer towards realizing what are your pieds de resistance. I don't know that you've done it just yet. I know you are very, very proud of this one, but it only takes you 5 minutes to explain to people what the next one you've got coming is, and immediately people get pretty amped up for that. So, and then I think Liam's is just a really classic traditional take on 32mm style diorama.
Yeah.
You know, it's more in vein with things like I'm trying to think, the open category at Golden Demon, for example.
Yeah. So I'll give a bit of a rundown on each category because with each category you look for different things. So single figure, that's pretty obvious. You're looking at one figure, you're looking at the base work. So you're looking at the painting quality, the composition, the base work, how it all ties together, where everything's blended smoothly. The hardest thing to work out is where commended finish and bronze start.
The cut.
The cut, yeah. That's the hardest thing. Yeah. That's why there's so much back and forth. We put things. We look at each piece individually for what they are, and I want to say this. I know, and Andy, you've said it in previous streams. Like as a judge, you got to respect the artwork for what it is, and you got to take care looking at someone's hard work because they put a lot of effort into that. So you got to assess it for what it is, but then you've got to have a look at it where it fits as a whole in the category. So
Can we caveat that, because there's a perfect little sequence here. So two things. One thing that Trent and I really wanted to talk about, but exactly what you said there is, we want to respect and give you the utmost care for what you put across the table, and that is the part of open competitions that is you are competing against yourself. Okay, putting your best work forward that you can. The second part, and something that we'll probably talk about a little bit more as we start to lead up to our two next events, Guilds In, but particularly with the Crimson Brush, which is obviously Trent and I's side of things, with as well as Storm and Ben, is we're going to sort of try to clear up the dialogue a little bit more about open and what open really means as well. So, please continue, Jack.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew Bucknell.
Yeah, Mr. Bucknell. Thank you, sir.
I prefer Andy Bugs Art, actually. I prefer... Actually, we're just going to AKA that into A Bug's Life.
The Honourable Andy Bucknell. Thank you.
Bug Boy, whatever you want.
Yeah, so when you are looking at this whole... This is why the first category took so long, because there were so many entries and the quality had stepped up. And so there was quite a lot which were very close to each other. So you've got to have a look at the positives, but you also have to take into account where things can be improved. But you celebrate each piece for what it is. So, there was a lot of back and forth. We could see where the golds were, and then the silvers and the bronze. The golds, just to give everyone an idea, the technical painting was brilliant, the base work, the composition, the colours and all that sort of stuff. And then silver and bronze, they would be elements that needed some improvement in those areas, but they were still strong pieces. So when looking at the squad category, it's a little bit different, because you're looking at anywhere from 3 miniatures up to, I think there was about 20 in one squad, and it's very hard to try and distinguish that sometimes, because you've got to take into account the consistency across it. It's like running a marathon. Each piece has to be consistent across the from the painting, technical, basing, and all that.
And the
So,
presentation. A big one as well is, I mean, this is why sometimes you see things like universal lighting chosen a little more in a unit entry, because maintaining focus points on atmospheric unit entries can be a little bit challenging. Sometimes, because we often use photos as guidance, they can feel that they have been aided in a way to hit that one angle in the photo. So it is a really challenging category, but it's one of the coolest looking ones, I think. It's
awesome
when you've got it in the hands. So.
Yeah. If there's one piece of advice I could give to any prospective unit entrants, it's don't go fucking 30 models. Like, you're just fucking yourself royally up the arse. Bucks did 3. I did 6, and even 6 was too many. Like, 3 to 5 is your golden mark for squad. That will get you enough consistency that you're not just over the top, overwhelmed with the number of models.
Yeah, and of course everyone, Deno's rule is fantastic there, but there are exceptions to the rule. If you're wondering, well, why did a unit with heaps of models win a gold? I can tell you that the reason why that unit won the gold, I know the gentleman who painted that, he didn't paint that for ArcOpen. He just has a particularly high expectation of himself in all of his miniature painting, and painted, for example, Blackstone Fortress. If you remember, everyone remembers back a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it's like Curse City for
all the Curse City stuff. Yep. So he had that there and just thought, hey, I'll put this in because it's not about winning, it's about being a part of it. And fortunately on the day he won, because the models are awesome. So, there's always an exception to the rule, but I agree with Trent. Fundamentally, it's probably a good idea to keep your model count down to somewhere between 3 to 5.
Yep, and I would agree with that as well. From a judging perspective, it makes it hard to look at 20 models and check that everything's of the same level.
We were talking, Jared, on the day about one of the real, I guess, downsides of judging is the lens that you take on things. Normally, I try to be talking always about what things I like about projects and what things I want to, like I love. Whereas when you're judging, you tend to go the other way. You tend to be looking for things that are not as good or things that let the piece down rather than celebrating what is good. And that's where you sort of get in trouble with a unit is you're giving yourself more opportunities for stuff to not be good.
Yeah.
And sometimes, particularly for like when we live stream judging, like those judges are still thinking and feeling all of those good things about the models, right?
Yeah.
They're just maybe not as vocal about them. So
Anyway, back to you, Jared.
Yeah, then diorama. We've talked about that and the difficulties with that. So hopefully next year there'll be quite a few more dioramas, so you can see the breadth and depth of how many different dioramas there were. But I think Andrew will probably create a bit more rules around it, just so it's a bit clear of what a diorama is. And same with the squad. Like I think he said he might put a limit on how many models are in a squad. Yeah, which makes sense. But the hardest one was the large figure category. I think that one had the most number of entries.
Agreed.
What made that difficult was that it included large figures from Warhammer, 75 mil, and bus. So that one took the longest because we had to look at each. Again, we had to look at each work differently. You look at a bus different to a 75 mil, and then a large Warhammer figure is looked at differently again. But yeah, once we started grouping them up, we could see where things fit, and then we assessed each piece on face value. So same as before. So it's just a timing thing. That's why it takes so long, is because the quality had increased, and they were finding those cutoff lines took a while to work out.
You definitely want to give everyone the respect, right? We talk about the respect, and people put their heart and soul into their entries, whether or not they as a painter are at the level that is medal worthy. It doesn't devalue their effort, right? So you want to make sure
we're all at different levels, right? We can only paint as good as we know.
Yeah. So respecting their effort is a key part, and I think that was evident that you guys did a great job of giving everyone the level of respect that they deserved. Except for Andy Bugs Art.
Well, yeah, I mean that's an interesting one. I imagine, and it's a conversation I'd love to have with Andrew and get a chance to as well about single miniature is an interesting one. Single miniature's been changing as we've got deeper and deeper into painting competitions and painting competitions lifetimes. I had an entry that was adjusted from single miniature to large miniature, and it'll be interesting. As I think how I viewed it as a single miniature may have been full well could be wrong, but it was, for clarity, it was a model with a mount, like it was and so we had some mounted models in single and others go into large, so I think it's probably another area for a little bit of cleanup as well for the future.
Well,
what do you think about that one?
We might car park that one for later on when we talk about Crimson and some of the learnings that we're taking from Arc, and one of the vigorous discussions we had on Saturday night about categories versus not categories. So let's park that one. Jared,
you can utilize that as like an anchor point.
One of the parts of judging that definitely doesn't go in the Crimson Brush streams and is probably quite opaque to most viewers is the best in show conversation. How did that go? What was that? What was the delineating factor in awarding Andy's piece best in show versus whatever else was there, such as Neon Knights, for example, would have also been a well-deserved best in show, mate.
Yeah. witnessing the Crimson Brush just to get the experience and learn how best in shows get talked about. Yeah, it was done in the open with four of us. That's, I think, when Mitch came along as well. Um, to,
Give a shout out
he,
to Mitch.
Addicted to Ink, great sponsor of the event.
yeah, and so yeah, the two pieces that were in contention in our eyes was Andy's piece, I've got it here. What's it called? The Fusil Major on Ogor Warhol.
Yeah.
I'll bring it up on screen so people can admire the great man himself. Yes, look at that.
I've actually, if you'd like, I'll send you an image because I have shots done by Dave already.
Done. Make it happen, son. And I bet you Dave's salty about that now too, now that you've flogged him in a fucking best in show. I bet you he's like, I don't want to take any more of your photos, Andy Bugs.
No, not at all.
Fuck
I mean,
you.
I learned so much from it. I mean, under the macro lens, there are some things that I would like to improve on. And when I obviously add the second part to the piece, but all in all, Dave can take fantastic photos of my miniatures whenever he wants or doesn't want because
Dave can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. We love him.
does an incredible job of it.
One of the kindest and greatest men I've ever met. Too good for this world. Are you going to send a photo, Bucks, or what are you doing?
There you go.
Come on, mate.
There you go.
Discord or Messenger or
Instant.
Instas? All right. Andy Bucks. Oh, Andy, you're killing me. Use the Instagram mobile app to view this message. What an A-grade pest you are. All right, continue, Jared. I'm really interested in this because I think this is possibly one of the most, the things that we don't share or talk about enough, is how those decisions are made and what separated those pieces.
We can also bring up Liam's as well because he's got he's on his Instagram.
All right,
so you can give him a fair shout. And before we even get into this, I just want to say I love what Liam did. Like it's super good, and sometimes the sun is fortunate to shine your way on any given day, and I was obviously fortunate this time around. But I think in any other day, sliced in any other way, it might fall different ways with different judges and different people's opinions. So Liam cooked an absolute banger, and he deserves all the love for it because it was absolutely killer. And I myself have a lot to learn from that man, and I'm looking forward to doing so.
Yeah.
Can I tell Liam what you said a couple of months ago where you said he's a shit painter? Can I tell him that?
No, but I want to concur with that. Like, these two pieces were the main ones we're looking at because of how they were technically painted well, the composition, storytelling creativity was up there. So yeah, I think we probably talked about it for about 20 odd minutes or so, looking at both piece, really breaking it down and studying them under the lights. And they are fantastic pieces, but as we were talking about before, like you're looking at the positives, but then you have to start looking at the negatives as well, because when they're at such a high quality, it gets very difficult to compare them.
The Mando was the other piece, which I can bring up on Instagram as well. I think, what do we got? Liam Paints. Liam, where is he?
Here's some things I prepared earlier for you, Trent, if you want to see.
Oh, what? Have you got it? No, it's fine. I'm there. I'm there.
Not Liam's. I can get Liam's.
So, hey, which one? Oh, Mando. This one.
Mando.
How's the photo there, Dino? You've done a fucking outstanding job as always. What a top fucking stream you are. There's Mando. This was really impressive in the photos. I'll be controversial, and I'll share a little anecdote from the judging, which I thought was really insightful. So Victoria grabbed a sheet of paper and put the background, put in front of the background, so you couldn't see the background, and all you could see was the model. Go froths, and assess the model without the background and then with the background to see if the actual painting of the piece held up or if the background was carrying it. Now, you know, there's been a lot of discussion about backgrounds recently, AI generated backgrounds and all sorts of other jibber jabber. I personally am not a background fan, with a caveat, unless it adds to the scene. And I do think this one actually gives life to this piece. So I think looking at it both in isolation and with the background is an important part of this process because it adds value. And I do think that that may have been the difference, or may have been the delineating factor in Victoria's mind as to why Andy's got over the line, because it didn't quite read as well without the background. Is that a fair statement, Jared? You were obviously there, I was not.
Yeah, like we had to consider all that as well. But, like when you're comparing the two, we're looking at those sort of elements. With Andy's piece, yeah, I've got to be careful. I don't want to
Give him too big a head.
How about this? Why don't we start like from this tangent here? Liam is an incredibly technical painter, and has sort of skilled those bars up really well, and it shows in all of his work. And maybe I think Liam is a more technical painter than I am, but we all have different painting identities, and when you're entering in a painting competition, it's important to try to be as authentic as you can to the way that you do things and lean into your strengths where you have them. And I think in this instance, speaking for myself, and I think I can speak for Liam too on this one, and if I can't, he'll definitely message me and tell me. But both of us tried to do that, and that's where the judging starts, really.
Jared?
Jared?
Yeah, yep. Like, the piece that you did, Andy, was more complete compared to Liam's. There were just some minor things with Liam's ones when comparing it to your piece. They weren't on par. And that's basically why your piece was picked as best in show.
Do we need to mic check as well? Because I'm getting told can't hear me.
No, you're fine, Bucks. The real question, mate, the real question we need to know is why was Neon Knights not considered for best in show, Jared? Come on now.
No comment.
Yeah, well, fuck you then. No, look, it's an unthanked job oftentimes, right? The judging, and first of all, our great appreciation, Jared, for standing up in front and giving your opinions freely. It is harder than it looks. It is mentally exhausting. Like, it takes a lot out of you to be able to sustain that level of concentration and engagement over an extended period. But yeah, it's also a great fuck you, Timbo. It's also a great experience and gives you a different lens for your own painting when you go back and start doing things again. You get a different perspective, I think. So
yeah, it definitely does, and that's the main thing I took away from the experience. And I'm so glad I took Andrew up on judging. If you ever get the offer of judging, I highly recommend doing it because it just puts it into a different perspective.
As much as you're helping others to learn, you're having a huge learning experience.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Don't worry, Timbo. You won't get that offer, mate. So you don't need to worry about what you're going to say. So.
Yeah.
So the award ceremony, I think, was fantastic. Longy did a great job, except for all the people that he forgot to thank. But we got him there in the end, especially the judges.
I mean, as much as we can say that judging the event has its its challenges mentally, running event has its challenges mentally as well. I think outside of dropping a few names, which were quickly recovered, I think the guys did a great job. One thing I want to talk about before we sort of get towards the wrapping up is some of the layouts of the event, and some of the added features that were brought along. So something that's a little bit unique to ArcOpen this year is you could get a tattoo on the day if you wanted, which was pretty cool. What did you guys think about that?
Yeah, if you're a tattoo guy, g'day Kiki
Yeah.
Miniatures Mania. If you're a tattoo guy, I'm sure that would be a wonderful thing. G'day Yab. I was not going to get one of those tattoos, so I was ambivalent towards the tattoo station. But a couple of our wondrous friends did go and get tattoos, and I say more power to them.
The tattoos were on brand too. They were fantasy or Warhammer or all sorts of related things. I thought that was a really cool, unique thing to add, and some of them might be wondering, well, why would a tattoo shop be set up at a miniature painting event? And that's because people come to this from all walks of life, and really love this thing that we all love, and so having more art there is not a bad thing; it's a good thing. And it definitely proved to be a good thing because that tattoo gun was blazing away non-stop both days. So I thought that was a really interesting element that was at the event. Backed up also by having a different take on how to display the miniatures. What did you guys think about that with the cabinets?
It was interesting. I prefer the open so you can see it, not behind the glass. So you're not sort of restricted. Yeah, from a presentation perspective, it was pretty cool seeing the golds and then the silvers and the bronze, and highly commended. So that was pretty good. But I think to see the models up front, I prefer the crimson brush method.
Yeah. Okay.
I like trying things. Like I love events that are willing to do stuff that's different, right? Because if you always do things the way they've always been done, you'll continue to have the same results, right? So
Yeah.
let's try some different things, and maybe it won't work, and maybe it will reveal something new. And yeah, the cabinets they're not revolutionary by any means, but it certainly was different for our scene. Wasn't for me. I also prefer the open nature, but as Jared said, it was cool to see them at the end of the weekend. Each of the models were clearly separated into their own sections. So yeah, there's
I'll,
lots of things to take from this event in many ways.
I'll stand apart a little bit from these two lovely gentlemen and say that on day one, I had similar sort of thoughts and feelings about the cabinets. Predominantly, not so around having cabinets. I like having cabinets. I think cabinets do at times elevate the way that we view things. But the layout was sort of a bit challenging. We were in a big space, and so with lots of different features, it was dragging things out a little bit, literally spatially wise. So getting to like not knowing where things were for a little bit, or walking past things was definitely a thing. But I felt on day two the cabinet sort of elevated it a little bit. I think they, you know, there's a ton of work to build 14 cabinets the day before the event for a couple of people. So, you know, regardless of what's said here, like the effort again that goes into that sort of stuff is not lost on us, and definitely is appreciated. I think they may adjust and try a different cabinet layout next time.
Yep.
And if so, I think that's probably where they shear it up pretty nicely, and then it starts to just solely add value. Because the way they have it set up, we still do get the opportunity to see things on the table.
Yeah.
They don't. They're not saying we don't have that. They're sort of shooting for both in a way.
I provided this feedback directly to the event organizer, and it's it's an observation I'll make now. Part of the appeal of these events, right, is getting people together, and even though having so much space was such a blessing, it also kind of hindered the event from achieving its ultimate goal, which is bringing people together, because we were all too far apart. There was all these cool areas, but they were all disparate, separate, and you sort of had to actively go and pursue conversations with people and actively pursue that experience. So I would, the cabinet layout and the layout of the event, I think, will change slightly next year to facilitate a little bit more closeness of experience.
Yeah, I think so.
Mm.
And I think at Crimson and at Guilds we're a bit more fortunate just because of the buildings that we operate out of and the space we operate out of. We've been forced into that. So
Yeah.
we've had our own set of challenges going the opposite way.
Yeah.
Right. We don't have enough space. How do we get this right? So it's just the opposite sides of the same coin, really.
Yeah.
The other thing that was pretty cool that was there, the crew from It's Tabletop Time were there, offering a chance to have a chat with a lot of their viewers, and we're also involved in judging some painting. I think they judged the 24-hour painting comp that they had on,
And the AOS.
And just with there being genuinely lovely people. So shout out to them. I got a chance to spend a bit of time with them talking. I had a bit of a relationship with them as I knew them long before It's Tabletop Time, but. All three of them, Jen, Dave, and Murray, lovely people, and their enthusiasm and passion for miniature painting and gaming is unrivaled. They really love the stuff. So great to see them there and offering their help and getting along with people too. That was wonderful. So good on you guys. That was awesome.
I'll back that up. They're just very nice people, You sometimes expect YouTube celebrities, particularly with 180,000 followers, to maybe just think themselves slightly better than the common man. But they are anything but. They're just super friendly and excited to talk to people, and just
humility comes very naturally to them.
Just nerds, mate. They're just nerds like us. So
yeah,
good.
There was a gentleman in there. I didn't actually get to spend too much time with him, but he was doing some sort of airbrushing tutorials / giving people a bit more information about airbrushes. I appreciate that. Airbrushes still to this day in miniature painting carry some taboo. So having people out there to try to sort of help break those walls down is super good. He was working on like a pretty sweet Space Marine sort of 2D piece of art across the weekend. And what I found fascinating is sort of how quickly it came together. It was sort of like sitting in like these various states, and then by the end of the event, it was like it almost just went snap, boom, done. And it was super impressive. I thought it was really cool. So shout out to you, man. Again, didn't get to spend much time with you, and unfortunately don't have your business name here as well, so I'm letting you down there. But
good work, Bucks. You're an expert at this podcasting and streaming, Jill. G'day, Kaylin. Welcome to the stream. The piece of artwork that dude was doing is I took a photo of it. It's on my Instagram if you want to see it. It's quite awesome. As Buck said, yeah. So let's talk about the award ceremony, Bucks, because
Sure.
it's it must be a special feeling, mate, to maybe feel like you're in the running, but you never really know, right? You're always hoping, but you can never tell.
You know what? Maybe you are always hoping, but I think if you're in the right place, you're not hoping because you know beforehand. And it's not that you know you're going to win by any stretch or anything like that. It's that you know very quickly if you're not going to be in the running for that. Would that be fair to say?
Well, as the only person on this call who's won a Best in Show, mate, you're asking the wrong people.
That's not fair, because I think you guys have contended for them in your time. So I guess the way that I view the work that I make is different to the way that others view the work that that they make. Sorry. And as such, I am very excited about the things my friends and peers in the space make, and maybe not as excited about things I've made myself. So thanks, Barn. You're the best. I often just get overwhelmed by how good everyone is at that level, and so as I said earlier, feel it could have gone any way. So, but yeah, it's overwhelming.
What was the moment when you heard your name called, mate? How did that feel?
I mean, it would be foolish to say that there aren't whispers that float around the event. Would you agree to that? People are expressing what they think and what they feel, and so I just want to say to anyone who's in that position, it's obviously super important to always stay humble, because just because you're your best mate or someone thinks you're in for a shot, it's important not to let that get inside you, because you could be very disappointed if it doesn't.
Counter perspective, never stay humble.
Always stay humble.
Shoot from the hip.
Always stay humble, and like I really just want to say it, man. I'm rooting for my friends as much as I'm rooting for myself. Like I want to see my friends do well, and was fortunate enough at this event to see all of my friends do well, and even some of my acquaintances or people I've not got the chance to get to know as well do well too. So yeah,
Well, that was the thing with this event. There were more medal winners across the board than
this time round.
yeah,
From
than last year.
last year.
Yeah,
Last year. So that's a really good. That's a really good sort of wrinkle to get into. Starting with single miniature, Arc last year was one single miniature won a gold medal. Um,
yeah,
and I'll be honest, I thought that was going to be a constant. I thought that was sort of a direction Arc wanted to go in, and that will pin nicely to Arc sort of figuring out what its identity is, because Arc does want to present an opportunity for something more like Golden Demon, which does go down that path. So yeah, I thought, look, we're going to see probably one gold medal in single. We saw three go out in large last year, and we saw two go out in squad, I believe. So there was only 5 or 6 in total, was it? 5 in total?
6. Yeah,
Six in total. So
yeah.
definitely a decent increase this year. I think we got probably close. I think someone asked me in the chat, or asked us in the chat earlier. I think we got closer to sort of somewhere between 15 and 20 this time around.
Yeah, there were 3 in single, 2 in squad,
Yeah.
2 in dio,
Yeah.
and then I think 6 or 7.
Yeah, so about 14.
Sugar, yeah.
15 if we're going. So.
Now, Bucks, you're doing a lot of deflecting here, mate, because, and I understand, stay humble. It is actually a wonderful mentality. You just achieved something that you really had your heart set on for a long time. You were able to beat Dave Colwell. You beat the best, right, at the top of their game. You got into the ring with the champion, and you beat him. You've achieved the best in show, and you did it in your way, right? You didn't change. You didn't try to cater to the current trends. You just believed in your way of doing things, and you achieved it, right? So, how does that feel?
Yeah, all right. It feels good. It's probably not like fully settled in yet, but yeah, it does feel good to achieve one of the goals that you set out for yourself. And we sort of preach this a lot, but milestoning is important in this hobby space. I mean, you can gun for the top prize if you want to. And by all means go for it, but it can be a little bit soul shattering if that's the lofty heights that you set yourself at and don't come up a bit short. So if I could start that, I guess almost 3 years ago, when I entered my first competition, from there to now, I think it's probably fair to say, been in contention a few times for a Best in Show award, and I've come up short every time until now. So and maybe this time around it was just my time, and I was really pleased with the result, obviously, and happy to achieve that. Naturally hungry to do more. There are 2 other Best in Shows that you can achieve in Australia, and I would definitely like to.
Well, Queensland Model Hobby Expo, mate, that counts.
Queensland. Well, true. Yeah, have you got a Best in Show there?
I have, yes, actually, yes, thank you.
Yeah, so with Guilds in and Crimson Brush, but I'm going to have to wait a little bit. My mic is really quiet. Everyone's saying, man.
Georgia's here. Do you want to wave, Georgia?
Hey, Georgia.
My youngest daughter.
Hey, legend. Hey, Bucks. I've got a question for you, right? And this is.
Is my mic any better here? Hello.
No, I've set it to the maximum volume I can. So, let me ask you a question, right? And this is not a question probably that we can answer, but it's important to ask it. How do we can combat the circle jerk appearance of what goes on at our events? Because if you were to look at from the outside perspective looking in, you see Andy Bucks, you see Big Deno, you see Liam Paints, you see Dave Colwell, you see Jared Clifford, you see Ben Leighton
Storm, yeah.
winning all
Steve
of the
Graham,
medals.
you know, he's been winning at every event.
Right?
Sebastian Archer.
How do we
All
combat it looking like we're just fucking backslapping our mates and saying, "Here you go, champion, have some medals"?
Well, I guess how we combat that is that across probably 15 to 20 different judges now, that's how the cookie keeps crumbling. So we can start there. We've had international judges. We've had brutal international judges. Okay, we've had Natalia come out here, and he obviously gained a reputation for being pretty brutal. We've had Emil and Lucas come out from Squidmar. We've had, and then we've had a host of hometown judges. We rotate our judges. We're pretty brutal on our judges. If you want to know the honest truth behind the scenes, we're pretty harsh on our judges and pretty brutal on them. We have a very high expectation of them.
How did you combat it, Jared? Obviously, you were a judge. How did you combat your own personal bias and your knowledge of the people that were painting the models?
Yeah, that's a very good question.
Thank you.
You just have to put it aside. Like you got to be brutal. Like from that perspective, you're looking at the artwork, not the person. So you've got to judge each piece for what it is. And because we're such a small community, that everyone is going to know each other. But until we get to the stage where, like the European shows or American shows, where it gets diverse, it's always going to be an issue. However, that's going to be changing. That's because of all the guilds being set up, the standard and the masters categories coming in. So it will take another couple of years, but it will get there as well. So it will keep getting better.
It's a loaded question, right? Obviously, I know that our intentions, and as often as we can, we try to present our intentions to the community with things like Crimson Brush, live judging, and that type of thing. We're going to have that to contend with for a period of time.
Just going to read out some of these comments surrounding your question here, because I love what's being said here. You know, COVID madness, I'm going to call a little BS on that, Deno. If someone is losing out with the best minis, it may be a problem, but the most experience is the most experience, and that's my opinion. We've got Gars, other people just need to get good. That's how we combat it. Alexi, as the scene develops, more people will get better and better. Seems like we just need more time for the rest of us to do our best and try and catch up to you guys. Alexi, that's it, like literally 100%, right? Yeah, there is an element of these people right now are doing really well, and they're probably going to continue to do well for quite some time because hours count. Like they count, and they're always going to count. It doesn't matter what you do.
Yeah. Can I just say that? Alexi did very well at the show. He won 3 bronze from memory. Correct me if I'm wrong, Alexi, but he won 3 bronze, and he entered Crimson Standard and did well there as well. So ArcOpen, because it doesn't have the categories, the Standard and Masters, it's a little bit different. So it is achievable, and it is, like I said, that time factor.
It is. It's just, it's how it is. And I hope that the scene, you know, like, look, we're all individuals with individual personalities, and we're all a bit weird as well, you know. And we tackle both social situations and events all a little bit differently. But one thing I can promise you that everyone who is in those circles shares is a strong desire to help our country grow in this space, and that is across as many fields as possible, whether it's the ability to get better as a painter or a community member, an event organizer, or a content creator. We are just trying to uplift as many people as we can. We strongly believe that a rising tide lifts all boats, and we have a keen advantage, and that is that we can watch. You know, we're very far away in Australia, which means we really do just rely on ourselves, and as such, we do have the ability to watch the bigger picture and be able to see things, what works, what doesn't, and relatively quickly we can pivot in ways that that maybe other more foundational events around the world can't, and that's one of our strengths. So, just wanted to chuck that in there. Get a bit
We're
passionate
always
about
we're
that.
always going to contend with that mindset from a small percentage of the community, and whether or not that is sour grapes or whether or not that is a genuine concern, it's always going to be present, right? Our solution to that, and it was a loaded question, right? I know we're not just wanking each other off. We all know that, and we try to express that as often as we can. But we just have to continue to put the community first, right? And continue to strive to run our events and be open and transparent and be as open with our knowledge and sharing that knowledge as we can. And I know, the Guild's Inn does jam sessions, which has got pretty much everyone on that list, running a jam session to be able to share that knowledge. We've got opportunities for judges to come across all of these events. We're doing everything we can to spread that around. And I think my ultimate goal, certainly, and I've expressed to you many times, Bucks, is to manage myself out of the situation.
Yeah,
I don't want to be.
Definitely a key focus of all of ours, because it does, and this is not a whinge fest for us in any way, but it is a whole extra thing in life that you're doing, and you're doing it pretty much all of the time. So, this is a big reason why we step back from the guilds, outside of Jared, who sort of has gone, as we talked about before, milestoning his way through. He was one of the key founding members for the Sydney Guild and remains in that position, but as he elevates through the community, doing more and more, he will feel it too. I'm sure he's feeling it already.
He's already feeling it, aren't you, Jared?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going grayer.
Yeah. In the end,
No,
sorry.
Can I just say that for me, I've said it to you guys before. I love this community and what it brings. The opportunity to be creative and show off the work, and like seeing what it's like over in Europe, and what they've done. I think we can do the same. There's opportunities over in Asia to expand that, work together. There's just so many opportunities, and there's no reason why this can't be taken more seriously as time goes on as well.
As time goes by.
Yeah.
Something I want to just do a little shout out, a little example of it is it's not always about just because you've been around. I mean, we've got a classic example right now of the exact opposite, really. With the Guilds Inn, we have one of the workshops or one of the jam sessions that's going to be there. We've got a long time veteran of our Australian scene and venerated artist in Kyle Morgan, who's working closely with Jordan Led White, who's entered exactly one event in miniature painting, and they are presenting together. So there's a pretty good example of new faces coming on board, and old working with new. I think it's pretty great to see. So
let's dive into events and our learnings as the organisers of the next two major events on this wonderful channel. We had a really meaty discussion the other night about categories and whether or not we think categories add value to an event, or whether they inhibit people. What was your lens, Bucks? You're pro category.
I am pro category because I think that they can.
Hey, Declan. Hey, little man.
I think at times different types of miniatures can impede others when we're looking at them. Now that said, we know the counter argument to that is in the end, judges are judges, and that is true, and our judges are always looking to get better. But I believe there is some differences. I believe that, for example, a hotly contested one is that I believe that busts and figures should be separated. I feel pretty strongly about that one, because I think the intention of the work is quite different, and that's important to me. So,
Jared, your perspective? See a match fixer?
I agree with Andy because I've seen one I think it allows you to focus on certain entries. From a judging experience, judging a bust to a 75mm, they're totally different techniques. And if you're comparing them against each other, it can be very difficult. So yeah, I'm all for categories. I think it would need to happen as the community grows and you get more entries, because it'll just get more and more difficult to judge them.
I mean, and some might think sort of bust and 75mm is sort of comparing apples and pears, right? But if we want to, we'll go compare an apple and a melon here. In that a miniature is probably quite different to both of those, and it's quite glaring that you use like the skill set required to paint a really good miniature is different than the skill set to a degree to paint a really good bust or 75mm.
Well, let me give you even more ammunition.
All about painting.
Let me give you even more ammunition. How on earth do you judge a diorama like Neon Knights against a single finger like Dave's Castellan or whatever his fucking name is? Exactly. How do you do that?
Yeah, you can't. It's impossible.
And now the countermeasure to this is some people might say, well, it's open, right? So you just give the awards where you want to give them. And to a degree that is correct. But open, what open fundamentally means is that there is more than one opportunity for a gold, silver or bronze medal to be awarded. You, to a degree, are still competing against people in the room. Yes, you are competing against yourself, and that is what we very much encourage when you're going to your first competitions, because that's all we want you to focus on. But as you go to more competitions, you won't be able to help yourself or stop yourself from thinking about what other people are entering, maybe how they're entering them, what, like Deno said earlier, the trends that are floating around in miniature painting, all of this sort of stuff. And it would be very foolish of us to think that we all live in a very special place where we don't have feelings about those. We definitely do.
I don't
care about what's entered. Well, I think you do, pal, as you've referenced the difference between your diorama and Liam's diorama about 14 times tonight. So that would suggest that maybe you do.
We haven't talked about Neon Knights, by the way. We'll come back to that.
No, we will come back to Neon Knights. So, yeah, I think you've given us some more food for thought there anyway with presenting the diorama question too. I mean, diorama feels like the one category, or open feels like the one category itself that may require the most stipulation as to what it is.
So we're sitting here and asking ourselves on Saturday night, does the Crimson Brush need to have categories? Now, Jared, I believe Guild's in this year. No categories, is that right? Or you got some categories?
No categories, just standard and masters for overall categories, but subcategories, none.
So here's my, I guess, overall perspective on it, right? We have a small community. We have a small knit community, as we talked about. We tend to see the same sort of people winning. Anything that divides our community has the potential to reduce the impact that we have. Now, this is probably related to our conversation about standard and masters, right? We were worried that separating it would divide our community even further. We were able to get around that through, I think, effective communication of our goals and what we were hoping to achieve out of standard. Why would we have categories? It's not for us. It's not for the people that have a really good lens on where they're at and what they want to achieve. It's for the people that are maybe struggling, feeling a bit self-conscious, not sure if they're ready for it. If you say anything you want to enter is fine, champ, just get amongst it. That unfenced rule set
more unhelpful than helpful,
could actually be detrimental. Whereas if you say, hey mate, you just need to paint a single figure, you just need to paint one 28mm model, or you just need to paint one bust, all of a sudden those fence posts come a little bit closer together, and you get to just understand a little bit more clearly what it is you need to achieve. So the lens is, it's better for painters that are maybe still in the embryonic stages of their display painting career, less so for the people that have been around for a long time. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I guess, yeah, where Deno's going with that is that we have categories in standard and we don't have it in our master section. And I think everyone should probably get used to a little bit that standard is the place where we're going to try things. It's newer space, and it's pretty much a large portion of what we do is geared towards, in Australia, getting people involved, or getting people further involved in this side of the space. So yeah, I think it's great.
So the 5 categories we will have at Crimson Brush for standard at this point, all subject to change as the event gets closer. Very good question. Get inseminated. So we will have a single figure category, which will be for for models that are under 54 millimeters. We will have some caveats around things like mounted models and what falls under that category. Large miniature will be our second one, which will be anything above 54 millimeters. We will have a bust category, we will have a unit category, and we will have an open category. So we're still nutting out the exact details of what those categories will specifically reference, but I'm pretty positive about the idea. I think again it shows our lens is not towards what I want, but more towards what we think the community wants, and we will of course canvass everyone's perspectives over the course of the lead up and the event itself.
And if it doesn't work, you'll let us know through our feedback, and
we'll change it.
Channels, and we'll change it. But yeah, for the interim, those categories were super hotly contested, and I want people to know that a lot of thought has gone into those, and we think that is where the biggest differences lie. So, single miniature, squad of miniatures, open, large figure, and bust. They're your 5 categories to think about.
You can enter as many in a category as you want, but yeah, everything else will stay the same.
You want. Yeah, you can do 10 busts only. You can be a bust specialist if you want to.
Yeah.
We have to consider as well that we are connected to an event, and as ARC is, and there are people who attend the event from more of a wargaming perspective, and we got a lot of feedback last year that standard really made people in that space feel like they had a painting competition at the event they could enter. And as such, particularly with miniature and squad, we feel that this will be a 2 categories that will swell with the amount of entries. So,
Yep, I think you're right, Alexi. I think it has been a really beneficial change to move to standard and masters, and I'd stuck my heels in on that for a long time, because I firmly believe that we needed to reach it organically. We needed to stay very much designed to bring everyone together as opposed to divide us. And but the feedback was overwhelming, and that was the right thing to do. And that's been the feedback from everyone, right? So we're really pleased with it, and we think that the timing of it was right. So now we think the timing is right for us to try and expand and improve standard a little bit. We also get the lens of Jared, who's running standard and masters for the first time at the Guilds Inn. We'll get to lean on his experience with it, and if there's any learnings that they have. So yeah.
From the Guilds Inn perspective, it's going to be run a little bit differently to last year. This year, standard and masters, but one thing which we're going to be doing is getting people to put all their models out grouped together as a little display, and you can have the option of putting your social media tags so people can follow you and stuff like that. And then when the judges judge the artwork in either standard or masters, you'll be judged based on your display. You'll either be judged on your strongest piece or your display as a whole. So there's a couple of different avenues. Yeah, Seb can articulate it better than I can, and it's posted on Instagram.
There. Yeah, it's a pretty good segue actually for Guilds Inn. I'm not sure if Trent wants to swing to Guilds Inn just yet, but one thing that there's a bit of dialogue that sort of popped up between Jared and I over the weekend is that we were talking about ArcFest's identity and where they are leaning towards with their painting event, and then obviously Crimson Brush has patented itself as the premier painting event for our country, which makes Guilds in fit into a bit more of a niche role. It's a boutique event, we might say. It offers some unique things with the jam sessions, some unique changes with the way that like you're separating, as you just explained. Do you want to? It feels a lot like the what is it? What are we saying? 4 painters run by painters style of event, right?
Yeah, very much so. And that's the we want to do something a little bit different to how Crimson and Arc is run. We're not tacked onto a convention, so it's literally being run by volunteers that have an interest in display painting and want to try and help the community to develop their skills. And that's the whole premise with the creative jam sessions, getting the experienced people like you guys both doing different topics, right up your alley, with Dino doing the dioramas, so you can talk about composition and storytelling and all that sort of stuff. And then Bucks is talking about the last 10% refinement.
Some random, ambiguous topic that really is just an opportunity for me to explore the thoughts of painters selfishly.
But yeah, so they're all unique in its own way, and I think they have something for everyone in the Australian community and abroad as well. We're getting an international competitor out, and Crimson's had a couple of international competitors as well.
I think there'll be more for that as well, which is great to see.
So no, I agree. Each event has its own unique way, but we're all still trying to push the same purpose as well.
I feel very passionate about not every event or every thing that happens in Australia just having one person behind it, you know.
Yes,
and what's great to see about Guilds and Arc and Crimson, and indeed, you know, there's more events. There's Iron Signet, there's Runax, there's Sydney Slaughter, QMHE, Melbourne Hobby Expo, right? Everyone,
Hobby Expo, there's plenty. Yeah,
everyone's got their own lens on what is important for their event, and that's something that we should be encouraging. You know, the last thing we want to do is make the world England, to quote a fantastic Last of the Mohicans reference. Great film, my favourite movie of all time.
The other night was best actors of all time, and Daniel Day-Lewis was sharply thrown out very quickly.
Got to be up there, hasn't he?
And the last thing you want to do is get in a hot debate with Rhiannon. She knows a lot about a lot, and she's a big Daniel Day-Lewis fan, so he will chop it up. Thankfully, I felt we were on her side, so a good place to be.
Let's go back slightly. So yeah, Guilds in 27th, 28th of July. Fantastic event. Very excited to come down again this year. Andy Bucknell is judging, which will be great. Really well timed, actually, invite for Andy Bucknell after he's just won Best in Show at Arc. Good time to be offered the judging reins, mate. So well earned.
Can we announce the other one too?
That's up to Jared, mate, not me. It's his fucking event.
No, not judging for that. Judging for Crimson. Yeah.
Oh, you?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's judging at Crimson as well.
There you go, friends.
Oh my god.
And then hopefully, maybe Arc will ask me to come along and do that. We'll see. It might be you, Trent, actually. They did ask the People's Choice last time, so it might be you jumping in on that one.
A man of the people.
Man of the people, for the people.
For the people.
For the people. Yeah.
Although not many of the people were very appreciative. Most of them were like, Deno, can you fuck off with your stupid big dioramas? Fucking
no one
bullshit.
understands them.
We hate it.
It is something to talk about a little bit, like Jared, because we actually haven't talked about that yet with you. This is the first comp you have not entered. Like, this is, and how was that being, I guess, relegated to the sidelines for that one?
Yeah, I've been tapped on the shoulder and told to take a seat. Yeah, cut some oranges up, fill up the Gatorade. Yeah. Water boy.
Water boy.
No, it was yeah, it felt weird, to be honest, because I do love display painting and I do love competing. Thanks, Timbo. How many times do I have to go on record saying I didn't do that?
All right, mate. Well,
Anyway.
there's video evidence that suggests otherwise, pal.
I'm in your corner, Jared.
No, but yeah, it felt weird. I absolutely loved the opportunity and experience to judge. I think I'm a competitive painter at heart, but it was a welcomed break because I'm focusing on some entries for later in the year when I go back to Monty. So it was a bit of a breather, but also gives me an appreciation of how hard judging is and what you have to go through. So, but I do love competing with like you guys, everyone else in the painting community, showing off the work. So, yeah.
Fantastic. And so you've got one more tour of judging duty ahead of you at Guild's Inn, and then you are absolutely back in the pool. Safe to say.
Well, two. One.
Oh yes, well, true.
Malcolm.
You're also travelling over to Malcolm as well. So you've got 3 events in a very short period of time, all within 12 weeks total.
Yeah, basically within 3 months, and then heading back on focusing in the competitive painting scene for Monty and then Crimson.
Nice. What do you think, Trent? We bring Jared absolutely back on after he's done 3 stints of judging in 12 weeks and see if he's
Still likes judging.
Still loving it.
I'm on board.
Sure
I'm on board. No, you're doing a great job, Jared. Hey, look, one of the things we probably don't stress often enough is events don't exist without judges.
No, they don't. It's not easy. So.
It is very much not easy. So well done, Jared. Even if you did not give Neon Knights its deserved Best in Show award, that it fully deserved.
I feel that was
just have to work harder, Dino.
I will, mate. I will. Well said. It was a good piece. I think you guys saw it for the flesh in the first time. Any thoughts? Any observations?
Again, composition is your strongest element when you're doing your big dioramas. This one's an interesting one. It's the way this is cut, three tiers, and compositionally, I find it works in that order from 3 to 1. So 3 being the highest tier. I felt that to be the strongest composition. The second tier was in the middle, and the bottom tier was the lowest in that. And what I found really weird for you, I'm just going to let rip here, Jared. So you take a seat, pal. Jump on the pine there, because you've done a lot of judging. I'm going to talk to our dear friend Deno here about some of the things that I thought he could do a bit better.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So compositionally, you made the third tier the strongest. Yeah, painting-wise, you made the bottom tier the strongest. And
very good observation.
The top tier was where the focus was. That's where you drew everyone's attention to. So that's where you need to do your best painting, which is in the planning phase.
It is, yes. It's also in the timing of things. When you paint the bottom layer first, you're naturally inclined on a piece that has 12 models to do your best work early, as fatigue starts to set in, as Jared knows.
So that would be planning, I reckon.
Is that all you got for me, mate? Paint better?
No, paint more focused, and focus the people where you want them to be focused. And that might be a bit scathing on you, but I know you can take it.
It's such a different discipline, though, isn't it?
It is a different discipline, but I know that you would have said the same thing to yourself already.
Indeed.
And I know that because you already did. What I want to really point out that I really did enjoy is your staggered perception on the top floor. A lot of people want to capture the Neon City style, and when you're looking and peering through that particular third of the diorama, you just nailed it. There's no better words to say. Just nailed it. You look through there, and there's the foreground, the background, and everything in the middle, and it's all lining up really nicely. And for me, it just sort of feels like when you see a camera shot. They used to do it all the time in those like early 2000s style movies where it sort of pans through the city, at a quick rate. It felt exactly like that. So I really appreciate it and really like that.
Thank you. Yes, that was absolutely the vibe for that top section, and yeah, that's exactly what I was going for. Very Blade Runner, very much cyberpunk style. So it's cool. Jared, any feelings, mate?
Well, according to Timber, I was sledging Neon Knights all weekend.
I believe that. Yep.
Yep, can't confirm or deny it. So let's leave it at that. It was. I loved it. Like I loved the big dioramas. I've done a couple myself, and know how hard it is. I agree with Andy. I think that the strongest part was the bottom, but the composition at the top was strongest. Um, to me, it was still consistent across the piece, particularly with how it was all structured. Um, and I think the way that you build it, you look at it top down, and then you go back up. So there was just so much to look at. It kept you involved.
Yeah, one thing you'll never will always get you if you've never seen Trent's painting in the hand is like where Trent places a lot of the value, and I think it's from a perspective of displaying his figures and something that he observed when he was touring a bit more competitively. Is that things can be a little bit lost at times on the table, and so probably the most overused word in miniature painting, but probably rightly so. Contrast is something that you will just immediately notice. There's no particular way of doing that, and it's evident in all of his work.
Let me tell you the best example of that. Most of my work looks better when the light is off. It just absolutely pops more because you get real contrast. Whereas you put a light on it, and it actually can sometimes wash out the contrast a little bit.
I was going to say, is that because you can't see it? The light.
Need a black light, mate. Yes, exactly similar to my face, Darren. Exactly similar to my
It
face.
might well be why he's subliminally edging closer and closer to just you view his model in darkness, because he literally did that for this one. It's like, turn all the lights off, please.
Turn all the lights off.
The UV light. Yeah. Always fun, things like TVs and LEDs, and I give Trent a bit of a hard time. I say, put the bells and whistles away, mate. Like, let's just, you don't need them all the time. But they do add a really fun element that in the hand is just really enjoyable to see. Get him on the gimmicks, Timbo says.
On the hand, in the hand is a strong word, mate, because not many people could pick that up. So
yeah, I can. I've got pretty good muscles. So.
Great knob, I've heard too. I love these big scenes, right? And we've started to talk a little bit about something we talked about last week, and I'm starting to get into it now. It's where is miniature art going? What's next? And
I don't know where's it going.
Well, for me, yeah, but also where is it going in a broader sense, right? And Andy enlightened me last week in showing me what sort of exists. This whole other world exists of dioramas that light up and stuff that we see. Popular YouTubers do things like Studson Studio and what's the other guy? Boyle Hobby Time, guys like that.
Mini Bricks.
Yeah, Gamey, Mini Bricks.
Gamey. I don't know how many. You probably all know of Gamey, but Gamey's formats for what he does with his videos they're just super great, right? I'm going to scratch bash a kit together. I'm going to illustrate it, watercolor it before, and then I'm going to write and put the build on, and then write a killer script, write a story, and as I'm painting, read you a story fully characterized about the model that I'm making. That is just creativity on all levels, and I'm just a huge fan of that sort of stuff. So shout out to all of those scratch bashers; they're super cool.
That's the next evolution of miniature art. Interactivity. That is what I think is the next evolution of miniature art.
Can I challenge it just a little bit, but in a positive way?
Sure.
I think interactivity is going to get skipped a little bit because it's going to go straight to presentation. It's all going to be about how many different ways you can present, and interactivity is just one of those features.
We might shelve that for a next episode of Saturation Generation, the podcast by Australians for Australians, on miniature painting with the three.
And everyone
hosts.
else around the world, as pretty much we have a lot of
Yeah.
international viewers.
But yeah, it's been a wonderful weekend, friends. Did you have any closing thoughts on the event itself, or anything you'd like to share?
I mean, if we could we spend 5 minutes maybe flashing up a few things that others might have painted? Do we have anything like we can think of off the top of the head that maybe already has got photos on Instagram? So we could probably have a look at something that Benny did. That you've got something Storm had there. I'm trying to think. I think we can like hit, Bats Paints. I can load some Instagrams up just into the chat. Bats Paints was there. Jimmy was there.
We could, Bucks.
There's
But
some of our community.
Big Deno could also just keep painting his toy soldiers, which is what he likes to do.
It is.
Send me some links, mate. I'll get it done
You're a good man, Trent.
for you.
You're a man of the people. You're a man of the people, and we never forget it.
And that's why the Big Deno won People's Choice. You'll love to see it.
Yeah. Grab some accounts here.
I posted a photo on my Instagram this morning of some of my medals and a photo of me and Bucks, and it's a very good photo. I enjoyed it very much. I laughed quite a lot when I saw it.
You going for the smooch?
Yeah, just going in for a little peck.
I'm a kissable man.
Well done, Scars. That's awesome, mate.
Yeah, if you've got your own, if you're in the chat, please link your Instagram. Make it easier for me. The more we can get in, the better.
And what Bucks means by make it easier for Bucks, make it easier for Big Deno to put it up on screen.
Yeah, that's it. These aren't always going to be of miniatures. They'll be of some people's just awards and stuff like that. We've got Liam already. Let's get.
Well, Cragzog had a bronze, I think.
Yeah.
Cragzog did well. I'll load some stuff up. Let's go, Buxo. Boom. Here we go.
Yeah,
Jimmy
that's
D.
that come and hang out with us.
Yeah, Alexi.
Alexi, yeah.
I hear Timbo got
Yeah.
something.
He hasn't put any photos up of anything new, but we can definitely put up Big Perp.
Yeah, Jimmy's.
I just wanted to actually,
Jimmy's.
I watch. I'm just going to come to the defense of you, Trent, because often I am. I join in the lambasting of Trent Denizen. Gimmicks gets levelled at you a lot, right? Particularly by one Timbo Paints.
Well done, Jimmy
Timbo.
D.
Timbo, resin pause, gimmick. Gotcha. Get out.
Hey, this is a wonderful experience for people, right? Because you'll notice I don't follow any motherfucker. So if you see me following you, feel privileged. That's all I'm going to say. Because I only follow people that inspire me. I've made that observation multiple times. Was this Alexi's? I really liked this. I pointed this out to Mossy. I liked it a lot. Well done.
So there should be a caveat with though, Dino. Don't use the hashtag threefold soul.
That will get you immediately
I mean, he
booted.
put threefold soul in
No.
his vote.
And do you know why I did
impressed
that?
by that?
To tap you, Bucks.
Yeah, I know.
To tap you. No, great piece, Alexi. Well done. Hey, this is nice. Some good stuff. I remember that. Yes, some good awards there. Well played.
Please,
Scars, just
please,
copy paste
no
your
problem.
Instagram, my friend.
Yeah,
That's all you gotta do.
Just copy paste it. Good to go.
Cragzog, what'd you do, Cragzog? That's a good picture. Look at this guy.
Yeah, he loves to have a bit of fun with it. Let me go get one that I really do want to share.
I've done that. I've done that piece, by the way, Cragzog. I've done that Jotun from a radio. Is this Cragzog? Yeah, I really like this shield, mate. Good shield. Diorama. Let's talk dioramas another time because that's absolute shit. Good Space Marine though. Let me know when you've painted his head. That's a good banner actually. Banners are
Might get
hard.
a spray. Just also never forget that.
I want you for Painting Guild. Join now. That actually links to the Melbourne Figure Painters Collective. That code, by the way. So that is great. It also says MFPC down the bottom. 24 Melbourne Figure Painters Collective 2024. Very good. Hey, this is good, Craig Zog. You should keep painting, mate.
How about this one here? This was a great entry. Super great.
Uh,
Love this painter. And, you know, to us, not as well known. So
all right, who else we got? Bucks is linked. Struggling here. Oh, this is Ed. So Ed sent me a message on Instagram today, and I didn't respond to him. I don't often respond to people. I get a lot of messages, so it's just hard for the famous people like myself. But he said, "You're the only person who gave me a bake for the axe." Let's see if I can zoom in on this axe, because it is fucking tragically bad. Can I do it? Look at this.
He does want. He can take the bake, but he messaged and said, "Does Trent normally get back to people on Facebook or on messages for feedback?" And I said, "Look, you're going to get it plain from Trent." And he said, "I'm absolutely getting it plain, but if he's going to give it me plain, I wouldn't mind some feedback." I said, "Well, the best place he gives feedback is usually on stream." So
I do sometimes reply to people, but I'm pretty bad for it.
It's not your speed, is it?
I'm pretty bad with social media in general, really. Like I'm just talking to people. I struggle.
Can I just say about this piece that Ed has done?
Yeah.
I feel that this was a step up for him.
Oh, hugely. There's the actual orc itself is great. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
But he's put all of his time into that, and then he's just gone the old fucking dry brush on the axe.
I think Ed is not in the planning phase, just in the giving himself more time phase. That's one of the things that he has to adopt a little bit more. And I know that Ed does take feedback from a lot of different places, and I have a pretty strong opinion about getting too many chefs in the kitchen. I think you kind of need to scale that down a bit, mate, and just trust yourself a little bit more.
Strong observation there, Bucks. I talk a lot about, getting feedback is critical, but what is more critical is knowing when to action that feedback and when to say, I'm going to back myself and I'm going to try something different. Well done, Scars Paints. Commended.
Great job.
Outstanding.
Is Scars Paints the gentleman who was painting that Nurgle character from Warcry? If that's you, man, I sat next to you for just a brief moment, and I really did enjoy your moment.
Richard Brunel, isn't this your mate, Bucks? Isn't he a fucking jet?
Yeah, he's an absolute jet, and he was influential on me as a young boy. I walked into his store that he was working in, probably 18 years old, and he told me I could be as good a painter as I want to. I just had to work really hard, and at that time, I didn't have it, but that always permeated. And when I decided that I wanted to get back into painting seriously, he was an absolute shepherd and looked after me. He gave me some insanely good feedback about learning how to do non-metal metallic, and I'll never forget that.
Well done, Richard. Pretty fly, shy guy. This is Dunk.
From
Sarah.
Is it Justin or Sarah's? This is Justin's.
No, this is Sarah.
Oh, Sarah's. Gotcha. Nice.
Hi, Sarah. Outstanding. Love Dunk.
See if you can sneak in for me. There's a couple there that I really want us to get. There's one, the Marvel Crisis Protocol one, and I think the last one as well that I put in is a great one.
Which one?
That's some more Richard.
I think I've clicked every link. Did I get this one?
You missed one. I'll get it. It's
Come on, mate.
one, yeah.
I'm doing my best.
You're doing great. You're doing a great
Squint Minis, Justin Taylor. Here he is.
Yeah.
Hey, this guy's another prolific painter, by the way. Absolutely, a case in point of the value of sticking to it, painting a lot, and what that will result in for you. That's Crimson.
Great
Fantastic.
Figure. Beautiful figure, that one.
This one, I've got some feedback for Justin. I'll give it to him some other time, because now's not the time for me to give him an absolute bake. But yeah, continued improver, as is Sarah. So that's I love this too. This is great, by the way. Look at the detail on the scroll, on the writing and shit. I painted a version of this.
It just needs a microphone up.
Yeah. It's look at that. That's banger. Like it's coming, and this is, believe us when we say you're all getting better. You just have to paint more. Or get more knowledge. It's only ever two things.
Yep. Skill ceiling or knowledge ceiling. I can't do that. Like, I cannot do what this motherfucker's done. So, More power
Yeah,
to
that
you,
takes
mate.
that takes an incredible amount of patience and work. Now, one thing I will say is you can this is about balance. This is one of the things we talk about. You have to know where to fight your fights.
How good is this?
And
He's added the little fucking
doing
seals in the
awesome
top corner.
freehand, yeah, can be overshadowed a little bit if everything else isn't quite there. So
Okay, where was the last one? We got one more? We got one more, Bucks? You got a link for me or
I
something?
can go find one more. Maybe I'll go find who's we can
And
grab.
all the girlies say I'm pretty fly
We
for
did
a shy
Jimmy.
guy.
Did we bring up Jimmy?
Yeah,
do
Jimmy, we did Jimmy first.
Um, let's do. Why don't we do Storm? She had an awesome model there, and I think that needs to be shown.
Little Stormy Daniels.
Yeah, you can just go grab her, right?
Probably.
This bunny.
Honey Bunny. What is happening? Get her out of here. Honey Bunny. Paints. Little bunny.
And actually, if we could bring up Ben's just to finish off, because I do have some thoughts I just want to put out there and sort of echo in our community. Love this. This is the best thing that Strom the Barbarian has painted, in my opinion.
I concur. Jared, you judge this in the hand. How was it under the lights, mate?
I absolutely loved it. There was just so many different colours in her. I don't know, what do you call the
Legumes, I think.
Legumes.
Yeah.
Whatever.
And her legumes.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Get wrecked.
Yeah.
Get wrecked Strom and get wrecked Ben. They'll be turning over in their graves.
Yeah, just like great Jedi's, but that's another story. The face, just so much different variations of orange and peaches. I think she did a fantastic job on that.
Most
Covert
creative,
Madness.
regardless of skill implements.
That was
Good question.
definitely Neon Knights, mate. Had to be Neon Knights.
Let's bring up Ben's. It might not be the most creative, and his skill implement might be higher than you expect on this, but it is one to talk about.
I'm not going to talk about it. You're talking about his little fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi walking.
Yeah, well, I mean, it won a gold medal in single, right? So why? Why did it win a gold medal in single? I
Jared?
think it's because it. Well, yeah, Jared, you can give us an answer, and then I'll give you my thoughts.
Yeah, it was just very creative, like a desert scene, all the different colours through it. It was executed very well. The textures on the clothing, the metal work, the skin, hair, it had it all.
I agree, and I think ultimately though, sometimes it's you just lean into your strengths well and you hit them, and Ben knows Star Wars well, and also he had an element in there that's pretty challenging to do and doesn't get done right in basing a lot. Like doing sand is actually quite a challenge.
Difficult, yeah.
And he actually did quite a unique way of doing it, and he stumbled across that by being not afraid to experiment and sort of pivot when things weren't going the way he wanted them to. So, sometimes that comes out in your work. It's a little bit of an X factor, and you know how we feel about X factors. They're always a good thing. So I think that's why it was there from my perspective. If I was, having a bit of a look at it.
I think the thing that elevated it for me is the storytelling. It's a bold choice to have 90% of your base have nothing on it, but for what it did for the piece and the story that it told, it worked perfectly, and that's something to be commended, or in this case, to be golded. So, all right. Any final questions from the chats about the Crimson? No, not the Crimson. The Guild's in. No, not the Guild's in. ArcOpen. Any final thoughts from you two gentlemen?
Had a great time. It's always about the friends we make along the way. Loved some of the first time conversations. Looking forward to Guilds in. Very much looking forward individually to starting the judging journey, or adding to the judging journey, I should say, over the next year. However, I'm not going to be able to stop painting. Definitely going to have to bring new miniatures to every event. That's not going to change. So, looking forward to it. All eyes to Guilds in.
Yeah. No, I just want to say Thanks for letting me look at your work. Whoever went to Arc, it was a privilege, and just seeing the artwork up close and personal as well. It was a joy. So yeah, bring on Guilds in, and then Crimson next year. Start it all again.
Absolutely. I've got one brave thing to say, because this is not something we ever do. We never really self promote too much, and probably to our detriment. But
Sorry, who doesn't?
Part of the part of the growth of our part of the growth of our community and our space is getting some noise out there. So if you enjoyed our stream tonight, and want people to to know more about our Australian scene, and you've got some friends you want to tell about, or it could be as simple as one person, or it could be 100 people. Get it out there for us and let people know that Australia has a bustling painting scene, and we're looking for more and more painters.
I think it's probably fair to say that this Monday night streams, this is Saturation Generation. We've talked about our podcast for a while. This is our podcast. This is our avenue to talk and express ourselves. And Jared's been a wonderful addition to that. Probably a better addition than you were initially, Andrew. So,
well, in all honesty, I've been thinking Jared and I have just got some really fantastic chemistry.
No, agreed. All right. Well, if you guys want to go and figure out how to do all the streaming setup, mate, you knock yourself out.
I think we need a nice big open table, big fella. Mid rig and big rig. I think we need a nice round table and bring on some of our other friends from around the country.
Mossy has not let me live down that Jared's taller than me for the entire time since she found out. She's like, "You are piss weak. I thought you were a big guy. Jared's got you covered. Hung like a rogue stallion."
Timbo's not far off either.
Timbo? Fuck, mate.
He's 6'4", closer to 6'4".
Timbo is miles away. Miles away. Absolute miles away. Benny's a wonderful man.
He can be no further away than Cragzog, eh?
That's... or Benny.
Or Benny. Or Strom the
Or
Barbarian
Strom.
for that.
Hey, wonderful work, friends. Great weekend. As I said to you in a message in our group chat, it wasn't my best weekend in terms of my level of engagement. I mean, I'm not sure if that came across or not, but I've got competing priorities on occasions, and that was certainly the case this weekend. But I very much appreciate the time, the hospitality, the conversations, the feedback. And
shout out to my wife. I'm just going to shout her out straight here. She's a star when it's the Melbourne show. She's just always the biggest supporter of all of you.
Just welcoming too. Like she's just loves anyone to be there, and I feel very blessed to have been invited to your house, and it's a wonderful time. So thank you both. Much love.
Yeah, big love. Oh, Cragzog, you can take it on the chin, mate. I'm 5'11", so we're pretty far apart. No, actually, I'm 6 foot, so we're pretty far apart as well. But welcome to the roast of Cragzog. I mean, you brought it on yourself when you immediately brought up height. First thing you said when you come in, and literally all of the Australian painting community, for the most part, is above 6 foot. So, which will serve us well when we go out into the broader world. Oh, about your chin.
it has been very helpful for me and Jared to just get ourselves out there. Hey, Alexi, really great, mate. I really want to stress something you said there, right? The painting event, if you're feeling intimidated, like, I think we've done something wrong, because everyone that I've ever spoken to at events is far friendlier, except with the exception of me, probably. I probably need to be less brusque and rude, but everyone generally is super welcoming. Like, we try really hard to make sure that new painters feel like they can come along, and so it's really good to see that you've gotten over that hurdle.
Even us that have gone to 10 events, I feel you, man. I still feel that to this day. Like, there are still days that I'm there and I'm like, man, I'm struggling. So I think we all, it's no secret that this passion has an element of isolation to it. But we all just work our best to identify that in each other, and at times when people need a bit of space, or at times when people are really open to have a chat, and we just do our best to work it out. And I'm super proud of our community so far. We'll all get better at it as we go, and eventually, everyone will know everyone, and maybe one day in the in the future, you know, while the young goals of Monty with their mead will tip back their drink. Maybe we'll be tipping back a
VB and a
tipping back
4X.
a VB in a square in the middle of Canberra, and welcoming new guests. So
Shui, Andy, a Shui.
Do a Shui.
yeah. Culture and community, you know, that's what we value, and we're all looking to get better at it.
That's a good plan.
Can I just say one thing?
Go, Jared.
Which I forgot. Tickets for Guilds Inn go on sale on Wednesday. Creative jam sessions and entries. So I'll do another post, and Tim will get it set up for then.
Yeah, if we learned anything from last year, jam sessions indeed do go fast.
Yeah.
Well, there's more option this year, so I think it's fair to say that some will go fast and other less nebulous things will probably go a little bit less fast. You know, what is finishing a model even about, mate? What is that? What sort of person wants to hear about that?
I don't know. It's probably something you could come and get along to.
Very good finishing there, Andrew. Fatality.
I feel like we've been doing this for so long now that we are just perfect counters. You're always going to take the first punch, and I'm always ready to just throw one back.
What were the other ones? There was Fatality. What else was there in Mortal Kombat?
Animality,
Bestiality.
fatality.
Animality. Bestiality is something different.
Yeah, that's something different, bro. That's
Animality.
the whole path, isn't it?
Wasn't there one more?
Babyality, you turn them into babies. And friendship.
Friendship.
Oh, friendship. I remember that one. Yeah.
And there's also a one where you can elect to get them back up. It's mercy. So you can fatality them again if you want. So.
That's a real teabag move right there, right?
Yeah,
Just like,
is.
Get back up, let's be friends. Fatality.
That's full spread. Isn't it?
Oh, it's good stuff. All right, friends. Well, let's depart. Have a fantastic week to all of you. I'll be back on Sunday. I'll probably be finishing off these Squires. I've got 2 to go. Great little models, by the way. Kingdom Death, wildly underrated. Actually, probably not a fair statement. It's not underrated at all, but that's a sick model. Look at that. Yeah, cool.
I mean, right on brand, really, for like the Mortal Kombat-y / just rude stuff Dano says. You know, Kingdom Death brings a little bit of that element, so it's definitely an edgy model range that a lot of people enjoy.
All right. Have a fantastic night. Big Dano out.
See ya.